Welcome to What is Pinterest? This is the first video in the Pinterest Learning Series. We're going to cover 3 topics. We'll do an intro to Pinterest, we'll tour a typical Pinterest page, and then we'll do a brief flyover of the other videos that are in the Pinterest Learning Series. You'll notice by the graph on the right that the visitor traffic to Pinterest has been phenomenal this past year. Pinterest is the fastest growing social community on the web today. Think of Pinterest as a virtual pin board where businesses can display their products or services. Even though it's mostly used by retail operations, nonprofits and those that work from home are finding creative ways to lure visitors back to their website. So let's think of Pinterest as a second website to display our products or services. The only difference may be that Pinterest receives hundreds of millions of visitors each week, and our website probably doesn't. Pinterest has more referral traffic than Google+, YouTube, and LinkedIn combined. The Pinterest audience is made up of 68% women, and the predominant age is 25 to 34. So there's a lot of ways that businesses are using Pinterest, either to create a video gallery of their services, increase visibility, build brand, outflank the competition, generate leads. And in the tutorial handout for this class, there's 6 more ways businesses can build their business using Pinterest. If we bring up Pinterest.com, we can notice that red Join Pinterest button up at the top. All you need to do is punch that button and start creating your account. If we go over to the next slide, we can look at the category selections at the top of the page, right below the Pinterest logo. There are about 30 some categories today, and there's more being added all the time. Think of how a potential buyer would look for you. You can create your pin boards in those categories. If we go on to the next slide, everything means exactly what it said. It's every pin being made at any one moment in time. The pins are arranged chronologically and not by category. If we go ahead on to the next slide, we can see that we have the popular category. And the popular category is just what's fashionable at any one moment in time. If we move over to the next category, which is called gifts, this gives us the opportunity to shop by price. Some of the retailers have actually attached a price to the Pinterest items that they have on the page. If we look in the upper left-hand corner, we can see a search box. And pins can be searched either by the pin name, by boards, or by people's names. Now let's talk about the 3 menu selections that are in the upper right-hand corner. There's a language selection, there's About, and there's Login. Today, Pinterest supports several common languages. Once you log in, the language selection will go away. And it will become the Add selection. And from this selection, we can either add a pin, upload a pin, or we can create a board. If we go on to the About selection, it's pretty much what you'd expect from a menu. We can get help, we can look for a career, we can chat with the team. The ways that you can log in to Pinterest are either to use your credentials from Facebook and Twitter, or to use an email and a password once you've created your profile. Now let's look at a pin for a second. So what is a pin? Think of a pin as an item number on your website. It could be a product, it could be a service. It has a description, and people can comment on the product that you have pinned or the service. So what's a pin board? Think of a pin board as a category page on your website. If you had, let's say, 8 or 10 different categories, you would probably have 8 or 10 pin boards, just like you would have 8 or 10 8 or 10 pages on your website. So let's break that pin down just a little bit more. If we look at the photo here, we can see that there's 94 likes, and there's 6 comments, and there's 604 pins. That's great exposure. I mean, Allie's is undoubtedly reaching thousands of people that she has no direct connection to at all. So let's drill down a little further on the pin. And the next things that we could notice are who made the pin, who's commenting on the pin, and what their comments are. If we look over on the right-hand side of the pin, we can see that there's some social links where we can like a photo, tweet about it, embed the photo perhaps on our blog or website, and we can even report pinning violations. Follow the Pinterest content rules. Businesses take their copyright seriously. I know we do here at Knowledge Labs. Make sure you own the image or you have the owner's permission. If we go ahead and look at the pin a little bit farther, we can see that Allie actually pinned this bookcase to a board that she has named Make a Dream House. You can see that it was originally pinned by her. You can see that it came from a website called houses.com. If we look a little farther down the page on the pin, we can see the 602 people that have repinned this pin, and we can also see the 94 people that have liked this pin. Now let's go ahead and wrap things up. What we've discussed in this video is really doing an intro to Pinterest and also doing a tour of a typical Pinterest page. Now let's go ahead and look at the other videos that are in this learning series. The second one is titled Getting Started, where we'll talk about creating an account and editing your profile. The next one's called Get Pinning, where we create pin boards, pin items from your website, upload images and pin those items, and then repin items from other boards to create cross-traffic. The last video in this series is called Attracting an Audience. There we want to talk about inviting friends and customers to our pages. We want to talk about ways to find new customers, to tweet and post about our pins. We have a section called Returning the Favor and another one called A Starting Point. You know, if you've decided that, hey, I think Pinterest is for me, I think we can leverage our business, well, where do you get started? That's what Starting Point is all about. So this ends the first video, and just to recap, we'll talk about creating an account and editing your profile in the next video. We hope to see you there. Thanks for listening.